Welcome to High Desert Highlights and happy Halloween. I'm Peyton Thomas. That's Eric Lindstrom, a special guest. Chad Powers. Don't leave me hanging, Chad Powers. We have great rivalry week matchups across the IMC. And Eric, it's the last week of the regular season. It sets things up for a great postseason.
It's getting colder outside. It's football weather. It's go time.
It feels like it. We begin at Mountain View for our featured game of the week. The Cougars looking to clinch a home playoff game. Lava Bears trying to stay in the playoff hunt. 6-0 Mountain View. Ben trying to get things moving. Well, that won't help. Landon Wimmer sniffs out the screen and gets the pick. That sets Mountain View up. Tulin goes to the air left. He has his man inside the 10. Pair of snaps later, Mountain View on the doorstep, and they open up the ground game. Ryder Carpenter finds the hole, and he's got 6.
Let the big dog eat.
Yeah, Ben trying to get things moving, but Mountain View defense, this is a buzzsaw. Cooper's pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Lava Bears forced to punt, and if you need any sign the Cougars won this one up front, how about this? Exhibit A, Valenzuela getting the carry, and he just will not go down.
He's contributed for 4 years, and he just keeps doing it.
Mountain View back to the air. Pass complete to Easton Ray, and Easton Ray picks up the first down and just a little bit more after the catch. Later in the drive, Mountain View back to pass. This time with the play action, Ryder Carpenter is wide open. He hauls in the pass, and it's 19-0 Mountain View.
You know, you can hold the Cougars down for a little while, but they always break through.
Bend had only a few first downs in the whole half, the opening half. The most explosive was this pass over the middle to Max Duncan. He's been the top contributor for the Lava Bears all year, but it's another drive that ends up stalling out. Cougars pinned inside the 10, back by the punt. They cough it up, ball on the ground. Ben gets it at the 10, so now the Lava Bear offense starting with great field position leads to a 4th and short on the goal line. Ben tries to get tricky with play action. Mountain View all over it. Cooper brought down immediately after the run fake. Into the second half, Mountain View keeps the train rolling. Valenzuela on limited carries after the injury. He's efficient though, bouncing it to the outside and into the end zone. Mountain View, they're trucking into the postseason at 8-1, a 40-7 drubbing over the Lava Bears.
And the Caldera Wolfpack headed to the west side of Bend to take on the #1 ranked team in 5A in the state, the Summit Storm. The Storm looking to remain undefeated and roll into the playoffs. Now they got off to a quick start and never let off the gas. Here, Jude Anderson takes it right between the tackles for a quick score to make it 12-0 in the first quarter. Now the Caldera offense just couldn't get anything clicking. Here they go for it on 4th and 3, and big Dylan Hughes blows it up.
That Summit defense just so tenacious in the short yard situations.
Nasty D all night long. Here's a quarterback keeper for the Storms, Andrew Guthrie, and the points keep piling up. Hey, Zebra, get out of our shot, pal.
That's Chad Powers with the camera back there.
Go ahead and give a game ball to the entire Summit defense. They were nasty all night, swarming. Another sack by Big 88. And Jude Anderson, he kept it going. He takes a little dump off here for a big chunk yardage before going out of bounds. And hey, Peyton, if he did the work to get him there, what do?
Got to reward that man.
That's right. They do exactly that. They reward him. Jude punches in another score. And here comes the exclamation point on the night. Caldera, quick pitch before... from Borowski! The Storm have reservations for 6 again. This one is all Storm.
They made a lot of reservations tonight.
Oh man, reservation after reservation. Summit roll 47-0.
Let's take a look at our first IMC scoreboard. Just 2 big blowout wins for the 2 favorites entering the conference this year, and they'll have 2 playoff games coming up when that bracket gets released in a couple of days. Summit at #1, Mountain View we expect to be 3 or 4. Now we go north for the Battle of Redmond. Ravens looking to improve their playoff seeding, and Ridgeview, they start hot in this one. All over Redmond on the road. Gage Hobbs calling his own number. He scrambles into the end zone himself, making it look easy. Ravens up 3 scores in the second quarter. Redmond struggling to move the ball, and they're forced to punt. And this is right out of the back of their own end zone, and that means you put it in the hands of a dangerous returner, Finn Chambers. He flashes the speed, takes it from the Redmond Panther logo. Gotta love when you do that for the rival, and he does it for 6.
That's another
50-yard return for Finn Chambers. Panthers never go quietly, though. They've been tricky this year. When you got Wyatt Horner playing quarterback, you can dial up this play. Take a look at Horner's arm. He lets a big one fly for Carter. Wax and Wax outruns the secondary explosive play for the Redmond score.
That's like my arm, Peyton. Chad Powers-esque. Throw it over the mountain.
You know, I'm going to have to see proof of that, Eric. Doesn't take long for a response, though. How about the Ravens special teams? Marcus Hammond's on kick return duty. He puts the start of this drive out near midfield for the Ravens, dodging Redmond tacklers left and right with a couple of jukes. Now, I know Gage Hobbs likes that field position. So does Logan Lee. The pair connect on a deep ball, getting past Redmond's shell. Ridgeview in the end zone again. Ravens running away, and it wouldn't be a rivalry with just a little bit of extracurriculars activities. This one was already over. 57-14. Ravens head to the playoffs at 7-2 after beating Redmond. Crook County rounds out the action. We are still waiting on a score for that game tonight. That was a non-conference matchup between two teams that are 2-6 entering the night. Now a look at how things wrapped up on the Intermountain Conference this year. And Eric, as we take a look behind us, Summit really at the top of that at number 1, Mountain View at number 4. These are two teams that we could really talk about winning the state title.
They've been the class of the conference for years, and yes, they're taking momentum into the playoffs, and gotta love to see a rematch if it lines up that way when the brackets come out.
We'll have to see what happens when the brackets come out. Ridgeview, after the win tonight, also has a chance at a home playoff game. We have 3A action and much more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to High Desert Highlights. Chad Powers is still with us. The Sisters Outlaws closing in on a spot in the postseason this year. Last night, they took on Elmira at home, and the Outlaws strike first. Hunter Bronson hits Grant Roberson on the slant pattern. How about this run after the catch from Roberson? He leaves defenders in the dust, does the rest of the work. Later in the quarter, Sisters back on offense. Bronson hands off to Ethan Ebby and file this one away in the angry run folder. Just outside the red zone now, jet toss off the motion, and Jace Owens breaks it towards the sideline. He trucks an Elmira defender on his way over in close to the end zone. Oh, he's in the end zone. Sisters was there a few times in the first half. Into the second quarter, Falcons getting into the pocket to disrupt Bronson. Ball goes straight up in the air and into the arms of defensive lineman Marcel Romero, and Romero rumbles down into outlaw territory. That's a big play for the big man. Sisters defense up to the call all night long, though. Elmira trying to get things moving on offense. The deep ball is intercepted by the Outlaws. That's senior Chinch Chu. Outlaws take care of business. A 20-0 shutout at home over Elmira. Now we head to Jefferson County. Madras has won 3 of its last 4 coming into the night after starting 0-4, and they need a win tonight to keep their postseason hopes alive. They get 7-1 Pleasant Hill at home. This one knotted at 14 out of halftime. And, well, that's a look at the 3A standings. We're going to get that Madras highlight for you in a second.
Do you want me to do those highlights live? Do you want Chad to
I think we may need Chad to, we need you to come off the bench.
Think fast, run fast.
That's right. We'll get to those Madras highlights in a second. For now, let's take a look at our scoreboard for the 3A games tonight. We had that Sisters win yesterday, and then Madras, they took on Pleasant Hill at home. Cresswell, Lapine, we're still waiting on a score from that game, but Cresswell took the win down. And then let's get back to that 3A standings. We can take a look at how things wrapped up in that division. This was a division that really lacked a clear leader at the beginning of the year, and then Sisters and Pleasant Hill emerged as the two teams that could really make some noise in the postseason. Now, we'll get to those Madras highlights in a minute, but you can see on the wall behind us, they took down Pleasant Hill in an upset. We'll have to see what happens when we get to the playoff bracket if they made the cut. All right, we'll get those Madras highlights as well as some top plays coming up after the break. Stay with us. You know, Chad Powers, I think the refs threw the flag on us. We got to move back 5 yards. False start on those Madras highlights. Let's try it again. Now we head to Jefferson County. White Buffs have won 3 of their last 4, trying to get the home upset. They get 7-1 Pleasant Hill at home. This one 14-all out of halftime. Billy's the first chance, and they instantly flip the field with a chunk yardage pass play down the sideline. So Pleasant Hill goes back to the deep ball, looking to pick up big yardage again. This time only finds a white Madras jersey. Andreas Plazola comes up with the huge interception. The Buffs start on offense now, and they get some trickery going, getting the defense to bite out wide and the tunnel screen in for Matthew Suppa-Scott. But things take a turn. Freshman quarterback Julian Barajas can't handle the snap and puts it on the deck, giving it back to the Billies. Later in the drive, 4th and medium for Pleasant Hill. Momentum shifts. Madras a huge stop and a tackle for loss by Devin Super. And this time Madras will make good on its possession. A monster run by senior leader Orion Reynoso. He's off to the races. White Buffs up 21-14.
Think fast, run fast, Ryan.
Phillies now playing from behind. They'll go back to their air raid offense here on the next drive and look to complete another deep pass. And when the Billies had success tonight, this is how they got it. Into the secondary, it took a couple of Madras defenders to bring that receiver down. Once in the red zone, Pleasant Hill could then go away from that passing attack and get it onto the ground and get into the end zone. We're tied once again, now knotted up at 21 into the final quarter. Madras back to Reynoso, and it's through the air into the flat. Reynoso scrambles forward and ahead and picks up the first down. Then Madras gets, again, a little bit creative. They're going to give the fullback a carry here, and always love when you play some bigger man football. Madras showing who's the boss at home. They give it to Logan Vibert for the first down. Now a double reverse coming back toward the near sideline. It has everyone faked out, including the Pleasant Hill defense. Gavin Williams gets a jump, and he goes for big yardage. Madras inside the 10 on the goal line. Toss play to the left. They give it to Reynoso. Reynoso punches it in. Madras hangs on from there. 34-29. They pull off the huge home upset against Pleasant Hill. Let's talk Pendleton, because we got some news in the OSAA today that the IMC is going to be expanding from the current 7 teams up to 8 teams in a couple of years. Starting in the fall of 2027, Pendleton will officially join the IMC after petitioning to play up at the 5A level. The Buckaroos will leave the Mid-Columbia Conference and join schools in Bend, Redmond, and Crook County. This year, Pendleton 2-7 overall. They played one IMC team, Redmond, earlier this year. That's this game you're seeing now on your screen. They lost 21-7. The move is part of the OSAA's new 6 classification plan aimed at balancing competition. Let's take a look at our small school scoreboard. Culver in action tonight, and Gilchrist wrapping up action tomorrow. The Culver Bulldogs on the road at Rogue River, 55-0. They took a loss earlier on in the year, but ultimately now getting back on track, and they're hot entering the playoffs.
Culver's got a great program.
Now it's time for our top plays of the night.
Here we go. We head back to Summit. And this was what we called the exclamation point. Caldera with the pitch, but the ball, one more time. Fumble Ruski, and there's reservations for 6. And that is fitting because the defense was nasty all night, and they just stuck it to the Wolfpack.
And really a dominant performance over the Wolfpack tonight, Eric. But this is the way Summit has looked all year long, really on both sides of the ball. This is a team that doesn't turn the ball over a lot on offense. Defense, it doesn't give up those explosive plays. They'll have home field advantage most of the way through the playoffs, assuming that they make it that far. They're a team that really has their eyes set on a deep postseason run. We'll see how the bracket shakes out and what it looks like. Now we head to Redmond, but it's a Ridgeview highlight in the rivalry game tonight. And I want to take one more look at that Finn Chambers punt return. Ridgeview already up 22-0 at this point in the game, but you know, it's just kind of deflating when your defense is already having trouble if you're Redmond, and then Ridgeview breaks out a special teams play like that.
And you know what Chad always says, think fast, run fast. Think fast, run fast, think fast, run fast, and that's what we're doing right here.
Yeah, Finn Chambers making things happen on special teams. Really, it worked in all facets of the game for Ridgeview tonight. Let's take one final look at Summit now. And looking at over the course of the year, they finished 9-0, 6-0 in conference, so playing everyone in the Intermountain Conference, and really had a tough test earlier on in the year against a tough Mountain View team. But now this team's battle tested, they're pretty healthy, and they've just been dominating heading into the playoffs.
I was in the stands at that Mountain View game, watched the whole thing. It was a tight battle. Coach Crum, Coach Hyatt, great programs. But then coming back tonight, hadn't seen Summit play in person since tonight, and they are clicking on all cylinders. There's a reason they're the #1 team in the state, and they're going to be the team to beat as we head into the playoffs.
Let's take a look at the IMC standings one more time before we wrap things up here. Summit clinched this division a couple weeks ago. Now, Mountain View will make the playoffs. They'll get a home playoff game. Ravens will make the playoffs, potentially a home playoff game. They're sitting right on that bubble. The top 8 teams get a home playoff game. They were 9 entering the night. We'll see where they end up. That bracket comes out this week. We'll see you back